I call the April 1st, 2025 City of Clermont Planning and Zoning meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Tadona?
Here.
Commissioner May?
Here.
Commissioner Colby?
Here.
Vice Chair Nemec?
Present.
Chair Bain?
Here.
Commissioner Kramer?
Here.
Commissioner Hoisington? Here. We have a quorum.
Wonderful. If you would please stand as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And before we get to the approval of the minutes, I just want to remind commissioners of a couple of items regarding your microphone. Because we are now streaming live all city meetings on the City of Clermont's YouTube channel, to please make sure you push the button so that it illuminates red when you are speaking, and then turn that off when you're not. And then also make sure that your microphone is close to where you are speaking and you're speaking into the microphone. The people here in the room can hear us if we don't, but they will not be able to hear us online if we're not speaking directly into the microphone. So if we can try to remember that as much as possible, that will be very helpful. All right, so let's move to approval of the March 4th, 2025 minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Kramer, seconded by Hoisington. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well. Minutes are approved, 7-0. We will now move to reports. Let's start with Commissioner Tadona.
Is this, can I give out the handouts now?
Yeah, this is
Or
your report.
pass them down? Is that how it works? So part of my report is I've been doing a bunch of research because of some of the information that gets consistently said at council meetings, and one of them is DOT approved this traffic plan. I had once done a master's thesis with the help of Florida DOT, so I reached out to a couple of contacts that I had there. And it turns out that after the Community Planning Act of 2011 was passed, a majority of all state agencies' oversight was taken away from them. And DOT now only has 3 areas of oversight, and that is handicap access in a new development, drainage from a new development onto a state road, or the foliage and landscaping that is going to encompass that state road. So after 2011, DOT has no say in what goes on our roads. They don't critique entry lanes, exit lanes, turn lanes, or anything like that. And honestly, what they said to me was, if somebody gives us kind of pushback, we could go to the DOT and see what was done for that particular project and or request those email correspondence. So shortly after 2011, in 2013, Florida counties and towns started looking into mobility plans and traffic concurrency because they saw what was coming down the road with some of these developers. What happens is, with mobility plans and traffic concurrency, the developer can be held responsible for the maintenance of roads that are affected by their development. If you flip through some of the paperwork, Seminole County, Mayor Sladek is a wonderful person to talk to, and I did speak to her on a couple of occasions. Seminole County and the city of Oviedo recently passed a mobility fee schedule. It's in your package as far as the report, the article. It says Oviedo leaders approve mobility fee for new developments. Pasco County is right behind them, and the idea is that a developer is going to be charged a fee so that Oviedo, the city of Oviedo, can actually maintain the roads that all this traffic and development is hindering or having a problem with. I spoke to a young lady by the name of Danielle. She is from Highlands County, and Highlands County is actually taking it one more step, which I think the city of Clermont and possibly Lake County, if you don't mind me saying so, should truly entertain. What Highlands County is doing is they came up with a traffic concurrency application, and a developer has to fill out the application, and there's a fee charged to it. At that point, a third-party traffic engineer is assigned to that project, and the engineer comes up with the requested or the suggested developments that the developer is going to impact. The County of Highlands reserves the right, depending on the size of the development, to go out 1 square mile to see how much impact that development is going to have. The developer pays for the traffic survey from the engineering company. The County of Highlands will then determine what they want the developer to pay for based on the size of their development. And then finally, the County of Highlands will assign that developer a mobility fee for when those roads or need to be upgraded so it doesn't cost the county or the town anything. So I just think this is something we should look into. There are plenty of counties and cities in Florida that are already moving to this to try and at least curb, deter, or bring a whole new set of negotiations to some of these developers that are just running rampant through this state. So that's just kind of the research that I'm doing to try to see what we could do to help out our community that way. That's all I have, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner May.
Thank you very much. I thought that report was really well put out. Thank you for that. I just wanted to just let everybody know that I have been attending all the city council meetings, and I attended the last 2. It was great to see that the one that was changed, we have 2 now, one in the evening and one held in the afternoon, and I was happy to see that the afternoon was fully, there was a full house there. So it was great to be able to see other citizens that weren't able to attend night times now being able to attend the afternoon due to transportation issues or, nighttime site issues. I also want to thank our chairman, Brian, for providing summaries to the council when asked. I think it's helpful. Sometimes I know that the city or the staff usually puts their recommendations within the items for the council, but sometimes it's nice to provide them a brief from someone on the board. So I appreciate Brian for doing that, and maybe moving forward we can continue to do that if the council allows, and maybe not only just Brian, but maybe interchange with any other members to assist. And the last thing, I attended the Pig on the Pond, and I thought it was just a great event. It's always a great event, and incredible bands and just food and all, and I love the pig runs. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Colby.
Yeah, I want to thank Commissioner Tadona for the information. And I'm aware that the city of Mascot has recently instituted some mobility fees, so being looked at here locally. So thank you for the information. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Nemec.
Yes, I would like to also piggyback off of Commissioner Kobe and thank Commissioner John Sedona for doing an excellent research job. I don't know if you know, I miss the traffic in the South Lake area, and this is a very powerful tool. I'll be looking in on this, and thank you. I really, for a newbie on the board, you're impressing me very much. Thank you. That's it, Chairman. No more.
Thank you. Commissioner Kramer.
I don't have anything to report, but I did want to also thank our counselor, Wall, or thank you for the update you gave us in the last meeting. The educational part, I found it quite useful, and I hope that as we continue forward that you'll continue to educate us when there's an opportunity. So thank you.
And Commissioner Hoisington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also want to thank my fellow commissioner for this information and question, where do we go, excuse me, where do we go from here with this information? Is this something that will be presented to council, or do our legal need to review it to see where we go? But I thought it was very thorough, and I look forward to reading it even further. I also attended Pig in the Pond, thought it was very well attended. I attended the going away luncheon for our now former police chief.
Effective today,
Yeah, I think he's getting sworn in like right now in Kissimmee. We're gonna miss him. It was a good partnership working with him. And that's all I have.
Wonderful, thank you. And for my report, you'll notice, commissioners, you have a nice blue and white golf umbrella here at the podium, or here at the dais. This is from the city staff and the city to recognize that April is National Volunteer Month, and all of us are volunteers. I know for some that may be a surprise in the city that we are not paid employees of the city of Clermont. We are volunteers, citizen volunteers who volunteer to serve the community and the citizens to help with planning and zoning matters. So this was just their recognition to us to say thank you. Also, I let folks know, I brought it up the last time there was a meeting. There is a Safe Streets for All update meeting coming up on Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Tavares City Center on Caroline Street. And that is, Lake County is doing that. They are working through the Safe Streets for All initiative. If you go to Lake County's website, there is a form for a survey if you want to participate in that survey, and then the meeting is Thursday night at 6 o'clock. So encourage folks who have some interest in traffic and safe streets to participate in that. And that is all for now. We will then move into new business. We have 3 items on tonight's agenda for new business. Items 1 and 2 will be presented by city staff together and will be heard together. The commissioners will ask questions relative to those together. Participants will be able to come up and speak to one or both of items during the public hearing comment, but we will be voting on each matter separately as they are 2 different ordinances. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. And we'll start with item number 1, ordinance number 2025-012, and item number 2, ordinance number 2025-013. Mr. Cruz.
Thank you. Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commissioners and guests. John Cruz, Development Services. This is agenda items 1 and 2, 963 Juniata Street. It's a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning. The applicant, Dr. Blair Handy, is requesting a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment and a rezoning for the subject property located at 963 West Juniata Street. Outlined in yellow on the display is the property. Here's Juniata Street. This is West Avenue, Broome Street, and 10th Street. The single-family home was constructed in 1954 and is approximately 1,550 square feet of conditioned space. And this is the picture of the home. Dr. Handy would like to convert the home into a medical office for audiology practice. She intends on using the existing footprint of the house with no plans of additions at this time. Dr. Handy will work on site by herself, and the hours of operation will be 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday. She will only see one patient at a time. She would like to add a few parking spaces in the city's right-of-way in front of the property for her clients, similar to the adjacent dentist's office to the east. And on the display is the proposed site plan. Again, this is the existing dentist's office, Dr. Perez's office. Further to the right are some parking spaces along Juniata, and this is the proposal of the parking spaces at the location. Public Services has reviewed her proposal and did not see any concerns based upon the submittal. More detailed engineering specifics would be required at the site plan approval stage. The size of the property is approximately 1/4 acre. The small-scale comprehensive plan amendment would change the future land use from medium-density residential to downtown mixed-use designation. And at the top, this is what it is currently, and then on the bottom is the proposed. The medium-density residential land use is primarily designated for higher residential density around the downtown area. The requested medical office use is not designated in the medium-density residential land use. The medical office use would be more appropriate in the downtown mixed-use designation, especially since the adjoining property to the east is a dentist office and has the downtown mixed-use designation. Policy 1.7.3, downtown mixed use is intended to provide for a mixture of residential and business uses. In addition, the subject property is within the city's community redevelopment area, and the applicant intends to redevelop the property into a higher use. And on the display, the yellow boundary, the outer yellow boundary is the CRA boundary, and the property in question is located here at the star. With the redevelopment of the property and the development pattern of the surrounding area moving outward from the core downtown, staff is in support of the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to change the future land use from medium-density residential to downtown mixed use. Staff does recommend approval ordinance 2025-012. Now we're going to go into the rezoning. The current zoning is R3 residential professional with a request for a rezoning to central business district, which is compatible with the downtown mixed-use future land use. In addition, the combination of the central business district and the downtown mixed use would allow Dr. Handy to proceed with the project. The property, again, is located within the city's community redevelopment area. With the recent adoption of parking changes under Ordinance 2025-002, projects within the central business district have the option to either pay into the city's parking fund or provide spaces. The parking ratio under the central business district is 1 space per 400 square feet of office use. The conditioned area of the house that will be converted to the medical office is approximately 1,550 square feet. Therefore, 4 parking spaces would be required based upon the central business district parking requirements. The applicant is proposing 5 parking spaces. I'll go back to there. And again, on display, there's the 5 proposed parking spaces. With the current placement of the structure and the lot dimensions, adding spaces under the current zoning designation is impossible due to the land development code. And what that is meant is to try to add spaces around the back of the property. There's not enough space between the existing structure and the property line that meets the code to get an active driveway in and out. Due to the nature of Dr. Handy's practice of having a one-on-one patient setting, the parking demand does not appear to be an issue. As for solid waste disposal, the city can offer garbage can pickup as it is currently offering the single-family residence since it is a small medical office. Staff has reviewed the applicant's proposal and has no evidence the rezoning to the central business district at this location would be incompatible with the uses in the area. The adjoining property to the east is a medical office. The property to the south is a house of worship. In addition, within this city block, there are a few older single-family homes, an accounting office, and a duplex. The proposed project offers revitalization and redevelopment while providing for economic development in the area. Staff supports the request for rezoning to Central Business District and recommends approval of ordinance 2025-013. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Okay. Would you like to come to the podium and state your name and address for the record and present any applicant perspective of the 2 ordinances?
Good evening. I think you can hear me? Yes. Okay. Robert Walker with Burkett Engineering, 105 East Robinson Street, Orlando. We are the representative for the applicant. The applicant is here, Dr. Handy. We've read the staff report. We are in agreement of its findings, and we're just here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. What we're going to do is open it up to the public, and then please stick around, and if the commissioners have any questions, they'll call you back up and ask those at that time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. This is the public portion of the agenda where we have a public hearing on items number 1, ordinance number 2025-012, 963 Juniata Street, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, and item number 2, ordinance number 2025-013, 963 Juniata Street rezoning. If anyone is here in the audience who would like to speak on this matter, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address to the record, or state your name and address for the record, please. Again, anyone here in the audience to speak on these 2 items? It's the final call for anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on these 2 items. Seeing no one, we will close public comment and bring it back to the commission. And tonight we will start with Commissioner Nemec.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question for Dr. Handy, if I may.
Hi, I'm Dr. Handy. My address is 104 Blackstone Creek Road in Groveland, Florida.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, do you have any medical waste in your practice?
Medical waste?
Medical waste?
No.
Syringes,
No, no syringes.
gouges,
No, sir.
nothing. So you won't need medical waste trash
No, I would
separate?
not. I would not.
Okay. And what exactly, I'm just curious, what type of equipment you use?
I used audiological equipment. So
Could
I
you
do-
explain in detail, because I'm not a
Oh,
doctor
sure.
in
No problem.
audiology?
It's basically a computer. For the most part, I do newborn hearing screenings for moms who've had alternative births, so births at birthing centers or births at home, and I will need to perform a newborn hearing screening. So it's recommended or not required by the state of Florida to be performed within 30 days. So we place a small probe inside the ear. It's a rubber probe placed inside the newborn's ear. It emits tones, the ear responds, and then the results pop up onto the computer screen.
Okay, and to your knowledge, how many of facilities like yours are in Clermont? Do you know of?
That just perform newborn hearing screenings?
Exactly.
None.
You said
just perform
0,
newborn-
right?
yes.
Thank you. Exactly what I was looking for. All right, and I have one question for staff regarding the parking. Thank you, Doctor, I appreciate that. The parking, it doesn't, obviously, you wouldn't approve it if there was any problems with it. So 1 handicap is all right with the ADA?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and then the reason why they're putting an extra parking spot is I'm assuming that's for the doctor's family?
It's actually to meet the parking code if it goes to Central Business District, but the extra one, they're allowed to put more than
No,
what the
I
minimum
understand that,
requirement.
and I appreciate that. Yeah, I had to use my magnifying glass. That's good, John. Bring it down. Okay, I see exactly where they're going with it. Okay, no further questions for now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Kramer.
Thank you. In reviewing this, I'm with staff. I think this is a good use of our downtown area. My daughter was born with a birth defect, or not a birth defect, but my wife was sick during birth, my childbirth, and she could have been born with a hearing problem. So we would really love seeing that kind of service local, because at this point in time, we had to drive all the way to Orlando because there was nothing close by. So so far, you've met all the requirements that staff has, and I seem to be quite favorable to this, so I hope that the rest of the board concurs.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoisington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I concur as well. One of my questions was the medical waste, if there would be medical waste, because I didn't really understand what the procedures that would be done, and that has been answered. The parking, and if staff is okay with it, I didn't see anything to bring alarm. And again, thank you for bringing this business, this service to the city of Clermont. For those who have this issue will now have somewhere local to go, so I really appreciate you bringing it here.
Thank you. Commissioner Tadona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick question. Will the entire house is being set up as a office? So will anybody be living there anytime? And it's just Tuesday to Thursday from 10 to 2:30, right, Doc?
Correct. So no one will be living at the facility. It will be completely a professional working commercial property.
Okay. Honestly, that's all I have. I wish you the best of luck. I think it's awesome. So
Thank you.
it's obviously service that we kind of need, and you'd have the novelty. So I hope you have a lot of growth there. So
Thank you.
thank you, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ray?
Well, I'm glad to see that everybody is for it, but I am here as a planning and zoning board, and so I have to look at the code and the zoning. And so even though I do appreciate that you are coming in with a medical office, which we do need, we do have to still follow the code. And as an R3 medium density, which is the zoning now, you could get a conditional use permit. So I'm okay with allowing your medical office to be at the particular location. I'm just not okay in the upzoning of the property itself, because you can get a conditional use permit under the R3 for office and then get a waiver for the parking. So that is just my recommendation in regards to that.
Okay.
I think the upzoning is too much. I think that you're changing a future land use for medium density, which does allow under the zoning R3 for office, to a downtown mixed-use design, which is the FAR becomes very large. So you go from an FAR, I believe, of 0.25 or 1 up to a 3.0. It doesn't make sense for that street. So I would say yes to the project as long as it's a conditional use permit that they apply for.
Thank you. Commissioner Colby?
Yeah, I generally approve of this use, but my concern in looking at the pictures here is how it transitions into the residential neighborhood. There's, residential, you're transitioning, I think it's fine to make this commercial, but you're going into residential, and I'm looking at the street shots, and there's really no buffer. I mean, on the east side, it looks like there was a nice buffer there put between another commercial, but there's really nothing here. So my question is for the applicant: are you planning to do something in that area? It just seems like it's a pretty harsh transition from a commercial use right into residential.
Thank you for the question. Appreciate that. The buffering would meet city code with respect to their site plan process. So whatever the code is, so it's something we would adhere to.
So are you planning to put bushes or anything?
Oh, it'll be landscape pursuant to city code
Okay.
and any type of buffering that is required between commercial, which is our office, and residential. I didn't want to commit to a fence or something sort of that. I think that's out there now, but that would be our way of buffering. And we would look to the planning and building department for those parameters.
Okay. Can you speak to that, John? What the requirement is?
Yeah, in the central business district, if landscaping can fit, we require it around the parking. And looking at this, their dimensions on the right side and the left side of the view, there would be room for some buffering here and here. But again, there's not going to be in front of the building because it's going to end up being a walkway and stuff. So there is areas for landscaping around the parking in
Okay.
between the site.
It just seems that aesthetically it could be a lot, not such a harsh transition.
Yeah,
into-
I mean, one
into
thing we
residential.
do have to keep in mind though, is a site triangle. So I'm just looking at that. So the landscaping may only come out to about here in order for people to back out for a site triangle.
Mhm.
But again, that's something that we would look at site review.
Okay, and then along those lines, these trash receptacles that are out here, that are in the photo, are those something is that always going to be there? I mean, I think it just makes it look very, very commercial. I just think it would be, neighborly as the applicant if you were to commit to, having them out there all the time. I think it screams commercial instead of a subtle transition into residential.
existing now, sorry, I won't be in the microphone. There's a fence here, and they would be stored behind that, so they won't be visible for the street, only on days of collection.
Okay, so that's not a permanent resting spot for the trash receptacles then?
I'm not aware of that now.
Okay. All right. All right, those are all the questions I have for the
Sure.
applicant.
Mr. Chairman, if I may
Mr.
take
Yeah,
it
Yep, just a second. I think we've got several. So,
Yes,
we'll-
since the gentleman was here, I wanted to.
yeah,
ask him a
well, let's
question.
start with Commissioner May, and then we'll go to Commissioner Nemec, and then Commissioner Kramer.
Yeah, if we can have the gentleman come back up so I can have a question. I just wanted to find out how it came about in regards to going through a rezone versus just going through a conditional use permit. Who was behind just looking at that code? Because based on the current zoning, which I believe you guys are working on,
Right.
it does show under R3 that office is a conditional use.
We looked at that, and we conferred with planning department, Mr. Cruz, and it was determined because of the parking regulations, it was more beneficial to go this route as opposed to doing the conditional use, which I believe, John, would be a public hearing as well.
Yes, that is correct. And also something else, the future land use is medium density residential. It doesn't allow office use in the future land use category.
Right, but you're going from medium density straight into downtown, what is it, downtown? You're going into it like a really high density. I'm more comfortable into going to the portion before, which I believe it's considered professional. Let me see here, hold on.
Yeah,
Professional
residential.
office, yeah.
And again, when we look at this, if there's adjacent future land use, that is what we looked at, and the adjacent future land use is downtown mixed use. If you look at the future land use map, we would consider this as spot zoning because it does not touch anything that's alike. Up here, it's adjacent to the downtown mixed use and it's growing out from downtown. So that was one of the reasons behind the future land use change to downtown mixed use.
Right, but that would be something that the CBD, the council would have to agree to extending the CBD. I mean, for me, it's a residential area. I just don't agree to upzoning to downtown to a higher density when they're already able to go and get a conditional use permit with the current zoning. All you have to do is just get a waiver because if, I believe you were saying parking would be a requirement of 8, she only needs 5. But you could just get a waiver for 5, and I believe that would be an easier way than having to go through this entire upzoning. I mean, the medium density, I believe, is 8 to 12 units. The FAR is 1. Downtown mixed use goes from 20 to 40 units. I mean, it's just, for that particular area, which is residential, mostly residential, I just don't feel comfortable going to that extreme of a density in that area.
And again, when we looked at it, they did come through with the proposal of doing it on the side. They had a proposal showing it coming down, but again, it didn't meet the lane development code for fire access, lane widths, and we had further discussions with them. And also, we did one, I think it was, portion of it was on Minneola Street across from the marketplace. I think half of that property was zoned CBD, and then we brought it in to.
But that's a little bit closer to the downtown. This is a little bit further out. And this is more majority residential than, and I'm not saying I don't want her business there. I do want her business there. But she can just easily just get the conditional use permit.
They have the right to ask to go through the
Yeah,
project.
no,
So-
right, but I'm just, for me, the upzoning is just, I just would like to have it consistent and just the extension of the CBD going further out, just for this. I mean, I think a conditional use permit is the easiest way to go, so, just my opinion, and I'm done with
Okay.
my,
Thank you.
thank you.
Commissioner Nemec?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry for the delay, sir. I'm looking at pretty much, so I guess that would be the east side is where the parking lot is, correct, John? Mr. Cruz?
What do you mean on the, this is the east side over here, so you're
Yes,
talking about?
exactly. All right, so
Okay.
on the east side, according to the picture in my packet, which that's all I'm allowed to base my decision on, not taking a drive over there, as I was consulted. It's kind of hard, very hard. And I'm looking at, it looks like hedges, if I'm not mistaken, and they do look like they're 5 feet in height. So to the applicant, I mean, to make it seem like questions in trying to make it look more separate from the homes, would that be considered the boundary that we were talking about for the hedges?
In terms on the east side, whatever.
Yeah, well, no, the east side, using the same bushes on the east side. Because you see, obviously you can't see through those bushes that
Right.
there's a parking lot there.
That is something, when they come through for site plan review, we'll look at the landscape plan and what they're proposing.
Well, this is what I'm asking, I'm sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
sir.
that's fine.
This is what I have to understand up here so I
Okay.
can base my decision. Because listening to all this, not you personally, Mr. Cruz, but when I said, well, we'll discuss that when they're in our office, that don't help me at all when I'm up here,
Okay.
based on my decision. So if I can't get a decision, I'm gonna have to deny this project. I love the idea, but it's like my fellow commissioner said, we're taking a home and now we're turning it into a commercial area. Now, all I'm asking is, will they put bushes on that are on the east side, on the west side? If you can't answer that, then that's what I have to go by. Thank
Well-
you.
Well, maybe I misunderstood you. You said the east side, and I thought that's what we're looking at. They would be required to put bushes on the west side as well.
In the same height? Would we require the same height?
They would be to code, 36 inches in height.
36 inches is 3 feet, because these bushes don't look like they're 3 feet in height. They look like they're doing their job on covering up the parking lot on the east side.
And again, our code's 36 inches.
I know, listen, our hands are tied when it comes to
Yep.
the code. I'm just asking, that's what code, is the applicant willing to go higher? That is my question. Do I get an answer for that, or do I just base of what I'm going to go by?
I'm not a landscape architect, I'm an engineer, but I know what the code is and what Mr. Cruz has said is correct with the visibility triangle on any street, any type of business. When you get certain parameters, that's why that code's set like that at 36. What the 36 inches is for is to block lights from the car. It's not to totally obstruct the view of any cars that are out there, but the buffers will be met at code. If there's something in those areas, there might be a possibility for something, but we would just go with code and maybe a few other shrubs, ornamental tree or something along those lines, a crepe myrtle or something. But whatever's allowed in code, and that's what we adhere to. That answer your question? No?
Yeah, well, you pretty much said all night that you're going with code, you're going with code, you're going with code. Obviously, if the dentist office went with code, those bushes wouldn't be close to 4 to 5 feet. Okay? I mean, I know what 3 feet is, and 3 feet is, just depends on the topography. I mean, I'm not allowed to go to the site and see the height of the parking lot, which makes my decision.
And I
Ask
think we
these
have to be,
questions.
I think we have to be careful about how old, do we know how old those other shrubs are?
Well, that's what I was trying to ask, Mr. Chairman. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to know if the applicant.
I think we could ask
is-
Mr. Cruz when that was
Mr. Cruz
approved.
is going by code,
Yeah.
and that's all he's been telling me.
No,
And I
we
wanted
didn't,
to-
we did not ask the question
I'm sorry, I got
how old the other site was.
The site has been existing for several years. I can't tell you the exact date,
Okay.
but it is a fairly new facility. I know I worked on it initially, and I've been on staff for
No,
11
I
years, so.
understand it, Mr.
Okay.
Cruz.
Yeah, so that could, I'm just saying that could attribute to where we get the height differential.
Yeah,
that
Doctor,
they
I know
want.
you
I
want
can
to say
actually
something.
speak on that. That land started to be developed for the dentist's office back in 2016. So those hedges have been there for almost a decade. So they probably were meeting code initially, but over time they do grow, so.
Yeah,
um,
okay,
obviously.
I understand it. Are you willing to do the same?
I'm definitely ready, I'm definitely willing to meet code as
Okay,
was
thank you.
indicated.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Kramer, I think you had an additional follow-up?
So, we asked for the public to come up and talk about this, and nobody did. So, this area, I know that when something's impacting my residential area, I'm here at city council, I'm here at planning and zoning. So, I don't see anybody here complaining about your audiology practice going in there. Am I correct? And you don't have to come up. It's just 2 days a week somebody's going to be there, right? So 3 days. Okay, so if a resident was living there, we're 7 days a week. So we've got less, you're actually bringing less traffic in. It's still going to look like a house, right? Not any big signs up there saying, come see me, and none of that, right? So basically, it won't look any different than it did before, other than the fact that 3 days a week, you'll be there with your car, and your single appointments, as you said, because you can't actually do more than one appointment at a time because it's audiology, so you're doing one person. So at best, 2 cars, maybe 3 if grandma comes along to be with, little Johnny or whatever. But I don't see where anything's really changing in the neighborhood that dramatically. However, the downtown composition is changing dramatically. And the adjacent future land use is something we should be talking about. That is becoming downtown. So I'm not worried about the shrubs in there respectfully. I'm not worried about that as much because it's basically an existing house that's there already that you're going to be using. You're going to be using it less than somebody would be if they were a homeowner. You're not adding signage or anything that's going to really draw attention to this. So I'm still very much in support of this. I just wanted to clarify that we had no outcry. If this was troubling the community, I would see people here. Since they're not here, it's our job to make sure that we're speaking on their behalf. We're helping them by them not being here to speak up for them, but not a single person has shown up. So I'm still going to say that I'm pretty much in favor of this. I haven't found a downside to this. I am in favor of downtown expanding more. Downtown and Highway 50 are starting to come together, and when I look at the map of this, I don't see if there. I'm going to say there's 10 parcels in that area, and only a couple of them appear to even be residential anymore, according to the map. So most of that usage in that area is starting to become non-residential. So I'm still very much in favor of this.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if I can. sir.
Sure.
Mr. Kramer, when you put a parking lot in front of a house, that is changing the whole conceptual look of a house that somebody's living in. We're not talking about 4 spaces, we're talking about 5 spaces when handicapped. So you're changing the whole aesthetic view. That's why I was just concerned with the bushes. That's the only reason I'm saying. So if you put a 3-foot bush pertaining to this, it'll look like a border, like, okay, this is where the neighborhood starts. I'm just trying to make the aesthetic view go in the flow. That's all I'm saying, because when I hear you turn around and say, well, I really don't see, it's still a house is a house. Yes, but not when they're putting 5 parking spots directly in front of it. So that's my concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
And can I add as well? I apologize for. I
Absolutely.
just needed to rebut what he said. So again, I have no issues, just want to let everybody know, I have no issues of having her business. I think it's a great business. I just want to make sure that we as a planning and zoning board have to look at the underlying story of the land. This is going to upzone that land to 3.0. So based on that, if she decides to sell it, that zoning stays as an upzone at 3.0 FAR. That means that with her lot at 10,890 square feet at 3.0 FAR, she's allowed, or whoever buys the lot, I'm not saying you're ever gonna sell it, but it's just a zoning thing. You're allowed to Square feet, 32,670. So you go from 1,550 square feet of property to allowed 32,670, and that's going to go up. So that will change in the future if somebody decides to buy that lot. Take that zoning and change it and build a 3-story, or I think the limit is 55 feet, but a bigger property, which will definitely change the makeup of that area. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the discussion we've had is a perfect example of why we do these in 2 separate ordinances, because one is for the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment piece, where it talks about the actual future land use, and then there's the other one that's the zoning, and that's why we have the 2 different hearings and the 2 different ordinances for that, so that we can handle that. So I think that's a good example of that material. I share concerns with expansion into residential. I don't necessarily view this as expansion per se. I know we're adding an additional parcel, but it's not unheard of for this block, because there already is an office building to the east of the project. There's, I believe, a house of worship in this block, in this neighborhood. So there is a mix of uses, and whether it's zoned X or Y, there's a mix of use in this neighborhood, and so I don't think that conceptually this changes the overall makeup of that in a dramatic fashion. And I just want to clarify with Mr. Cruz is relative to notification to the neighborhood. Can you just remind us what that notification is?
Yes, our land development code requires 150 feet from the property line, but we normally do an additional 50-foot buffer, so it goes out 200 feet.
Okay.
And I know that we do have that available for you if requested, of all the addresses it was sent to.
Okay, thank you. The other item that I do appreciate through this is the additional right-of-way parking. If this parking were put behind, so if they went through perhaps a conditional use permit and we allowed parking behind, that would eliminate the right-of-way parking. And in this situation, the right-of-way parking is that, it's right-of-way. It is not owned by or controlled by this parcel. This is a right-of-way parking that, just like any other public parking, someone can park there and walk to another facility like it is any other public parking. It is not a private parking lot that would be in a facility or behind the facility. So I appreciate the additional parking that could be available to the general and in the general public and in the right of way. And I think everyone else covered the questions, any other questions that I might have. So with that, I'll bring it back to the commission for any other final comments. And if there are none, I would entertain a motion first for item number 1, ordinance number 2025-012, the small scale comprehensive plan amendment.
John, can you bring up the ordinance of R3? Do you guys know what the code looks like or what it reads for R3?
I'm familiar with code.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And again, to address that, the future land use does not allow office in medium density, so that would still have to be changed too.
Right, but you go from, again, medium density to downtown mixed use and not professional office, which is a lower density, right?
It is a lower density than the downtown mixed use. And the example you gave, that's a great example, but you have to keep in mind they have to park it the 2nd and 3rd floors. So there's going to be space limitations too as well. That's like someone coming and saying, I want to put a Walmart on C2 general commercial, and it's a 2-acre site. It's impossible. You just can't make it fit. So when we analyze this, we look at it several different ways. Again, they have the right to ask, move forward. They did originally come to us showing parking around back. We do something called site review discussion with department contacts there, and the fire department says, no, you can't do this behind the building. we can't get back there for an emergency situation. So then we came this way. But in terms of the R3, I'll have to pull it up on,
I just want that on record, that the zoning is R3, and then a conditional use, just wanted to show that it does show professional medical on there. And the parking would be 1 per 200 square
that is
feet?
correct.
Right.
Yeah, they would need 8 spots.
And if someone wanted to get a waiver to reduce that, would they be able to?
It's totally up to council. I mean, normally on variances, we don't recommend approval. So in this case, we'd probably recommend denial for the parking because it's, if they went the variance route. But at least with this route, they meet the parking code, so we can't hang our hat on the parking on that aspect.
Right, but then you're creating a 3.0 FAR.
Yeah. But I think also we have to balance that with what kind of hurdles are we placing for a small business to do business in an area that is adjacent to and is not the first in that block by any means to have a CBD central business district zoning. I just think that it has to be weighed and it has to be balanced. And I think that the due diligence based off of the fact that they initially asked for the parking lot behind, and our staff, our fire department said, that's not gonna work. We're gonna have to do something else to allow for a use of this, this parcel. And they worked with staff to come up with a plan that provides one additional spot of more than what's required, but also in a right-of-way that allows for some additional use. I guess, in my opinion, is more of a win-win and still supports the small business aspect of it.
So anyways, under the R3, under the conditional use, you can see that it shows a professional office as one. So the only problem that we see here is the parking, which, again, could be waived or a variance, but that's, up to
City council.
city council, correct?
Yeah,
So
not
that's
us.
That's all I want to say. Thank you
Okay.
very much, I'm done.
Is there a motion for the item?
Are we combining both? or
No,
just-
we have to vote on each of them
Okay.
separately.
Then I'll make a motion in favor of ordinance number 2025-012.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Kramer. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hoisington. Any final discussion on item number 1, ordinance number 2025-012, the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment for 963 Juniata Street? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed?
Me.
Okay. Commissioner May, no. And chair votes aye as well. Motion carries 6-1. All right. And then at this point, what we will do is I'll take a motion for item number 2, ordinance number 2025-013, 963 Juniata Street rezoning.
I will make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2025-013, 963 Juniata Street rezoning.
Moved by Commissioner Kramer. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hoisington. Any final discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?
No.
Commissioner May, nay. And the chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-1. So this item will then now go to the city council, and good luck moving forward. Okay, we are now on to item number 3, resolution number 2025-010R, Sprouts Farmer Market Conditional Use Permit. Mr. Cruz.
Thank you. Good evening again, John Cruz, Development Services. The applicant, Franklin Land Associates, is requesting amendments to a conditional use permit for an existing planned unit development known as the Shops at Hammock Ridge Crossing. The development is located south and southwest of the Hammock Ridge Road and US 27 intersection. And this is the overall development here. And this is the lot that we're going to talk about regarding the Sprouts location. The existing businesses within the PUD are the Chick-fil-A, 7 Brew Coffee, along with current construction sites of Staybridge Suites Hotel, a micro hospital, and a daycare. The development was originally approved in 2005 under Resolution 1442 and is currently governed by Resolution 1532. The applicant is requesting 3 changes to the resolution. The first one is an amendment to an existing condition. Sprouts Farmer Market is being proposed on Lot 14 within the development. Again, this is Lot 14. As part of their business plan, the store displays merchandise outside of their building. And here's a couple pictures of outdoor display of merchandise. Let me zoom out, this is not clear. Section 8, Item 1 within the resolution under outdoor display states outdoor display of merchandise is prohibited. The applicant would like to add language to this item to state an exception is allowed on Lot 14 within the development. This would allow Sprouts to display merchandise outdoor. Staff is not opposed to this request and would support the change with the stipulation that outdoor display of merchandise shall be limited along the front of the Sprouts building only. The second amendment is for special consideration of the wall signage on the front. On the front of the Sprouts building. The applicant is requesting additional secondary wall signage along with an increase in overall square footage of wall signage on the front of the building. A total of 6 wall signs are being proposed on the Sprouts building, with 5 of them on the front and 1 on the rear. The rear wall sign facing Hammock Ridge Road appears to meet the sign code and does not need special consideration. The 5 wall signs on the front consist of a primary sign, which would be this one here. And 4 secondary signs, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. The total square footage requested for the front is 546 square feet, in which the primary sign will be 268 square feet. The allowable square footage is 200 square feet per city code. In comparison to previously approved wall signage, Target was approved for up to 525 square feet of wall signage with a maximum of 5 wall signs. And then recently this year, the new Dick's Sporting Goods building was approved for wall signage up to 446 square feet. The applicant has indicated due to the placement of the lot in the interior of the development and the elevation change of approximately 28 feet up from US 27, the visibility from the major arterial roadway is challenging, along with having buildings between Sprouts and US 27 that impede visibility. Staff understands the challenges of the elevation change and interior lot location for visibility and would support this request. And then finally, the final requested amendment is, I'm going to go back to the aerial to show you, it's for a multi-tenant monument sign out here along 27 on lot 9. This is being proposed with Sprouts listed as the major tenant. The applicant is requesting the ability to construct a monument sign on Lot 9, which is owned and controlled by the developer. The development has been platted with no consideration of common parcel for a multi-tenant sign along US 27. Therefore, the sign would be considered as an off-site sign. The applicant is requesting this sign to be 20 feet in height, 18 feet in width, with a maximum copy area of 203 feet per face. The Land Development Code limits this type of monument sign to 15 feet in height and 10 feet in width, with a maximum copy area of 120 square feet per face. And also in reviewing the application, staff noticed the proposed monument sign within the Sprouts parcel, which, again, here's the Sprouts building, internal drive, private access, and this is the monument sign we're going to talk about now on Lot 14, exceeds the city's land development requirements in height and copy area. The plan indicates an overall height of 8 feet in which the city's code is limited to 6 feet with a limitation of 32 square feet of copy area per face. The copy area per face is estimated to be 48 square feet. Due to the unique nature of the elevation changes in this development and the lot configuration, these requests may be considered within reason. Staff is not opposed to approving these amendments. Staff has reviewed the requested amendments for the Shops and Hammock Ridge Crossing development in conformance to Section 101-212 of the Land Development Code. The outdoor display of merchandise, if done appropriately in an organized and maintained manner, does not appear to cause undue noise, order, traffic, or other nuisances and dangers to the abutting property owners. The request of the larger multi-tenant monument sign on Lot 9 would be beneficial not only to Sprouts, but to the other minor tenants as well to direct traffic flow in and out of the development. This may assist drivers to safely locate and navigate to the site. The increased wall signage request is similar in nature to other buildings on internal lots that sit back from arterial roadways, such as Dick's Sporting Goods and Target. The primary front wall sign of 268 square feet would be viewed from US 27, while the secondary wall signage would be seen mainly from the internal private drive. Staff has no evidence that approving these amendments would be detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of persons residing or working in the vicinity. Therefore, staffs recommend approval of Resolution 2025-010R. And just for a note, since this is an amendment to the existing CUP, the original CUP was used with the insertion of the amendments in yellow highlighting in your packet. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? If so, please come forward to the podium, state your name, address, and provide any additional or follow-up presentation for your application.
Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commissioners. My name is Tim Mondello, representing GBT Realty of 9010 Overlook Boulevard, Brentwood, Tennessee. We are proposing to bring a Sprouts Farmers Market to Lot 14 of the Shops of Hammock Ridge, which is the vacant parcel directly north of the Staybridge Suites. I'm here tonight requesting a conditional use permit amendment to allow outdoor merchandise display under a permanent covered canopy, increase building wall signage to coincide with the architectural design of a prototypical Sprouts Farmers Market, as well as an off-site shared shopping center pylon sign on Lot 9, subject to final approval from the property owner. The CUP amendment is predicated upon the unique circumstances and topography of this property for customers to effectively be able to locate Sprouts from US 27 due to the setback from this thoroughfare, as well as the existing and future building construction of the lots in front of Sprouts. Visibility from major arterial roadways is absolutely critical for any grocer to successfully operate with Sprouts setback several hundred feet from US 27, as well as future buildings that will obstruct visibility to Sprouts. The proposed storefront signage from both the north and south traffic patterns on US 27, it makes the need for Sprouts prototypical building signage as well as a shared shopping center pylon sign all the more vital for Sprouts to effectively attract and retain customers. Sprouts will provide neighboring residents and abutting businesses with a supermarket alternative for their grocery needs, offering an extensive but not prescriptive mix of natural, organic, and great tasting mainstream foods with a strong emphasis on value. Granting the CUP amendment request will increase foot traffic and overall business in the surrounding community, with Sprouts fitting in harmoniously to the mix of uses in the immediate vicinity. This location is admirably suited for a Sprouts Farmers Market, and approval of the CUP amendment request for outdoor display and increased building signage enhances Sprouts' ability to successfully operate for many years to come. Thank you for considering this request.
Okay, thank you, and please stick around in case commissioners have any questions, I'm sure, for you when it comes back to us.
Yep.
All right, thank you. With that, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak to resolution number 2025-010R, the Sprouts Farmer Market Conditional Use Permit? Please come forward to the podium, state your name and address. Again, anyone here in the audience to speak on this issue? Last call, seeing no one, we will move it back to the commissioners. And for this item, we will start with Commissioner Kramer.
Thank you, Commissioner Bain. The outdoor display, that should be clearly limited to the storefront and maintained in an orderly fashion. I'm just concerned about that. The wall signage, it seems justifiable given the elevation drop in the building's recessed location within development. We seem to be dealing with a lot of things that are being developed way back from the highway, and a lot of our code is for things close to the highway, so I understand that. The monument sign on Lot 9 should be supported, and I would like to see it recorded with shared language agreement to avoid any future conflicts between parcel owners. So I'm not sure how that's set up. Is that solely for Sprouts, or is it going to be shared?
It was portrayed to us in the packet, and put in there. I believe it does say multi-tenant. I'll pull the resolution, but I think it does call it as a multi-tenant sign.
Just something for consideration. For myself, I think the larger sign does help with wayfinding on 27. People are moving at a pretty good clip along there. I like that it supports the economic development in the area. We have precedent with similar language, and the one thing I would like to address is I was in retail in the past, and I know how I like to creep, and I just worry that clutter, inconsistency, or creep beyond the designated area. So I just want to be clear that we don't like the outdoor displays, and what you're proposing needs to be kept tight, because I just don't want to see a big mess out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoisington.
So I have a question on the outdoor display to staff. Like, why is it not permitted from the beginning? Like,
That's a difficult one to answer, other than it was put in this resolution back in 2005 as a condition. Also, if you do look at our zoning code, it does prohibit outdoor display unless it's been granted through a special condition or a variance. So in this particular instance, it was put in here as a special condition that we looked at, and when we crafted the condition to go in there, we were concerned if we just took that totally out, then that meant anybody in that development could do outdoors display. So that is why we wrote it under the outdoor display, that it can only be except on lot 14, and that is a platted document that we can track back through the clerk of the courts. Okay. So to answer your question, we're just amending that one location, but it's something that they would have to ask in order to do it. If not, every store would be doing outdoor display.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
My other questions were addressed with
question.
the signage and all of that, and I don't need to repeat that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tedona.
Which one?
Can you put the overhead, the property overhead back up?
Yes.
All right, can you zoom in just a little bit? All right, stop right there. Okay. Follow the logic, boys and girls. I'm not adverse to outdoor display if it's going to be under the canopy. As far as the signage, I don't think it's our problem that you put a store on a hill. Target and Dick's are on flat lands. I still don't understand why we had to give them a variance on signage. As far as the comment on foot traffic, let's talk about this. This picture, because I pass this, I see it every day, so I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I actually do pass this piece of property. I have no choice but to watch this abomination grow every day. This is not the only piece that's on here. We've got a hotel that's still being built. I still don't understand what a micro hospital is. Is that like the new oxymoron to jumbo shrimp? I mean, you've got a daycare, you've got a brew coffee, the hotel, and although we can't really say much about what goes on a piece of property, here we go again, one lane in, one lane out. The amount of traffic that this is going to generate is going to make Hardwood Marsh Road look like a walk in the park. There's no mention about anything, and I'm sure DOT didn't approve this, about extending any lanes on 27 to make a left into here, to make a right into here, or coming up Hamage Ridge Road to make a right to cross into here, across 2 more lanes of traffic. We haven't even, has anybody talked about all these apartment owners who have no idea what's coming in the next 6 to 18 months, that they may be locked into their own place? The only available way to go would be to come out, make a right, and come down Roper Avenue, which is a designated community with speed bumps. When I came down here 7 years ago, I was the only guy sitting at the stoplight on 27 and Hamage Ridge Road. Now when I leave at the same time, I start staging up with cars way past Chick-fil-A. This is gonna blow that out of the water, okay? Again, hospital, is it working 24/7? We talked about we're not gonna have noise, we're not gonna have traffic. This is gonna be an absolute disaster. You're gonna have people cutting across this parking lot to get in and out of the rec center area. I mean, this is human nature we're talking about, folks. If somebody wants to get here, they're gonna get here. And the other thing is, once Hamage Ridge Road is landlocked with traffic and you can't come down that little private road to go get your Sprouts, what happens when CPD has to report to a crime or they get a call? Are we gonna have the same issue with Clermont PD having increased response times like Clermont FD has because of the ridiculousness on Hardwood Marsh Road? We don't know. Nobody knows. Hold on. You know, we're talking about larger signage, but yet that larger signage, we don't know if it's actually going to be something that aids it or eliminates it, the problem. Like I said, it's not my problem that you put your store on a hill when there's so much other property that would allow 4-foot traffic to come into a store. So again, I'm not against the display, because other stores do it. The signage, I'm like, you know, you made your bed, you have to lie in it, so I don't know if I actually approve any of that. I think that's just a feign way. Let me tell you something. If 1/4 of Clermont showed up at that store because of the increased signage, and now we know where Sprouts is, that neighborhood is screwed, because there is no place to put all that traffic. No place. I mean, this must have been an abomination in 2005. It continues to be an absolute disaster. I drive past it every day. So, and again, there's nothing considering anywhere we're gonna put left-hand turn lanes, right-hand turn lanes. Are we gonna put another traffic light on 27 just so we could get a left-hand turning lane to come in here? What happens when it reaches maximum occupancy of parking? What happens when somebody comes in, same thing we had it 2 months ago with that other spot with 1 and 5 restaurants. What happens when somebody makes the right into this facility off of 27, wants to make the left to go get a cup of coffee, and 4 people are coming out of the hotel to get out of there, and meanwhile, there's an ambulance on its way to the hospital, which we still don't know what it is. This is just going to be an absolute disaster. So between walking, noise, safety, and again, not to mention anybody taking their lives in their hand to either cross that street with all this traffic, it's just going to be absolutely ridiculous. Again, I like the outdoor displays. A lot of people do it underneath the awnings. Signage is your problem. You should have thought of that before you put your building on a hill. Everything else, in the next 18 months, this will make Hardwood Marsh Road look like a walk in a park. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. And I don't want to be combative here, but I think I'm drawn back to what we learned last month in our training session about a conditional use permit process and our quasi-judicial role that we have in a conditional use process. and City Attorney Wah, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are hearing what evidence is presented to us in here. And we are not hearing an overall conditional use permit for all of these lots. What we are hearing is for signage and in two spots, and for display. And so I think it behooves us to be careful about how we speak of an overall project in relative terms to how we will utilize that to approve a conditional use permit that frankly isn't relative to what some of the concerns you're bringing up. And I'm only saying that because I fear about what items we're using or individual commissioners might use to base a decision when we had the training from the city attorney about our role and what kinds of evidence we look at in this quasi-judicial role under a conditional use permit.
I understand. I guess all I'm suggesting is, you've got a piece of property, and we're talking about one piece of property.
Right, and I think we should limit it to that one piece of property for this conditional use permit.
But it is, it's still part of a larger area that is just absolutely inundated, and we're not even considering
Right.
how people are gonna get around it.
Well, and we have had zero evidence presented regarding any of those other items specific to a micro hospital or those other items that I think that if they were a part of the initial conditional use permit review, we certainly should take those factors into consideration. But I feel like we need to make sure we're conscientious about what we are looking at today for this item, which is relative to the evidence supporting whether or not we want to approve or deny outdoor storage and some sign placement items. And Attorney Wah, I guess maybe if you have anything else you can say to that.
Well, thank you, Chair. First of all, I'd say I think you're right, and I also think Commissioner Todona's partially right. I don't think micro-hospital, that is a piece of evidence that you can't base a decision on. But of course, compatibility of development is. So when I hear some of Commissioner Todona's concerns, that's part of what I hear. So that's where I'd leave it.
Okay. Yeah. And again, it's not combative, and I hope it's not coming across that way. It's just I want to make sure that we try to really zero in on what it is that we're looking at here and provide an opportunity for an applicant, whether it's this one or a future one, to present their conditional use permit and for us to judge that based off of what criteria we should be looking at for that conditional use permit. So, did you have anything else? I'm sorry, Commissioner Todona. Okay. Commissioner May?
And that's why I keep saying about the future. We can't really, and I understand your concerns, and those are major concerns not only on this property, but also on other projects that are coming through to Clermont. And unfortunately, we weren't here in the past as part of those decisions, especially with this specific ordinance, I guess, that was done back in 2019. And I do agree with you with the traffic, and I do agree that there's a lot of hodgepodging going on in Clermont, but as of today, we have to figure out what we're doing here with Sprouts. So I do agree with you in that sense. But going back to Sprouts, and what we're here for us here today, on 3 changes. My question to the Sprouts representative is in regards to the merchandising. What is the typical merchandising that you will be displaying outside? I've been to Sprouts, but I know a lot of the Sprouts are different. So is it food, fruits, plants?
Yeah, so the typical merchandise outside in the outdoor display area under the canopy is flowers, pumpkins in the fall, some fresh vegetables, all confined to the outdoor sales area canopy. Some's in wood bins and some's on display gondolas.
Will you be having any seating area for anybody who's having lunch? Is that considered something that you will be adding in the canopy? That's another question I have is in regards to the food, the flowers and the vegetables and the wood bins and all that, will that be removed when the store is closed, or does that remain outside?
Yes, all merchandise is taken in at the end of the day when they close.
Okay, and the hours of operation, say, for instance, you guys close at 9, would you start putting it inside at 8 o'clock, or what's?
It's typically around 8:30, they start bringing it in.
Bringing it in, okay.
Openings at 7 a.m., they close at 9 p.m.
Perfect. And then, again, would there be seating outside for lunch as part of the
There's no
canopy?
outdoor seating.
Okay, thank you. In regards to the, I think that's it in regards to merchandise, since I don't have any other questions in regards to you that you need to answer. I do have a question in regards to signage, and I think that would be a staff person. So I understand that we're doing a change of signage from a total of 6. So we have 5 in the front, right, which are the ones that you showed, which is the Sprouts
Correct.
size, and that primary sign is, you're saying 268 square feet?
That is correct.
Okay, and then so that's that one sign. The other ones would be how big?
Whatever the remaining is divided by 4.
So 120 square feet each, probably, right? Okay. Now the sign in the back, we didn't talk about the sign in the back, because there is going to be a sign in the back, because it does say 5 on front and 1 on back. What is
Right.
that size?
It meets our code. It's less than 200 square feet.
Less than 200?
Mhm.
And that is going to, do we have a picture of what the back's going to look like? Sorry, did I ask your question, or? Oh. I won't ask about dumpsters, I promise. I promise. I just wanted to, I don't think we have that in the package.
It wasn't put in the package
Okay.
since it wasn't part of the special
Oops.
request. But that's
Okay,
right here.
and that's smaller than, we have 268 in the front and 200, right? Oh, you're saying less than 200.
Yeah, it's 153.
Okay, perfect. I think the ordinance, the language in the ordinance, you talk about 5 wall signs, but you don't talk about the back sign. So is that something that was,
Again, that meets code, so
you don't have to put it in the
No.
language in the resolution, okay. The question in regards to the signs proposed, and I think you had answered, so there's actually gonna be 2 monuments, and that was where my confusion was. So there's gonna be a monument on lot 9,
which is right here.
and that will serve,
It'll be a
All of-
multi-tenant. It'll be a multi-tenant with Sprouts as the anchor. Again, that's,
and that's the one where Commissioner Kramer has suggested to do a shared agreement, which
Yeah, and-
is a good idea. Uh-huh.
and if I could point out in the highlighted under signage, item number 4, it does say it's a multi-tenant monument sign. So if somebody came in and just try to get a permit for one business on that, then that would not be permitted because it does not meet multi-tenant sign.
That's in number 5, right?
Number 4 and number 5.
Okay.
We put it in there as multi-tenant, because you could have a single tenant, and they could put their whole sign, like Sprouts could, if it was a single tenant, they put signage all in here, but we called it out as multi-tenant. So, I don't know, unless Attorney Wall has some better language to put in there, normally that's what we do, is just call it out as a multi-tenant monument sign.
So once it's approved here in the council, then everybody else who's in there, the micro, what do you call it, micro hospital, the hotel, the daycare, they will all be on this sign?
They could go on there, yes.
Oh, they could go on
They
here?
could.
But as of now, it's just for Sprouts?
The hotel would probably go on there because they don't front 27.
So they would have to come in front of us to add their,
No,
so us agreeing to Sprouts, then everybody is okay with
because
this?
it's multi-tenant.
Got it. I just wanted to make sure that was the clarity. Now, in regards to lot 14, the purpose of that is, because it looks like a multi-tenant as well, because it shows Sprouts on the top, and then what's the other 4, is that,
They actually have if you look at the site plan, they have a adjacent tenant, which has not been
that's interesting.
specified as of yet. It could be 4 suites in there, long, narrow suites. But again, if they come in and meet the resolution, like retail or something, then, you know, it would not come back to you for that.
So that is a different tenant that I did not get.
And let me just clarify something for you. If they weren't asking for the signage and the monument signs, they would be going vertical right now because it's already entitled under the current resolution. So,
And do you believe that lot, where the location of where the sign is now, why was that location picked versus having it on the corner of Hammock Ridge and the access drive? So
they
that
don't,
when
they don't
people-
own out there.
They don't own on that little
Um,
section there?
yeah, if you, their property
Stops right.
stops at the red line. So if you're talking further out, they don't own it. So it would be, again, an off-site sign since they're putting it
Got it.
on their lot here. Plus, this is the intersection here. That's the placement they chose.
Okay. That was just,
Yeah.
just wanted to know why, because I
Yeah.
mean, I would think that you would have more visibility, especially with all the traffic that's coming off of Hammock Road, Ridge, and by the way, there's 600 or 700 more homes being built right now, BTR, on Hammock Ridge. Just want to let you know that the traffic is coming. But in regards to anything else, you have answered all my questions, and I'm good to go. Thank you.
Okay.
I will not ask anymore.
Well, you certainly can. To go back to your original question, I think if I did the math correctly, because you asked about those other 4 signs, so I was curious. I think it's just like 69 and a half square feet each. So roughly 70 square feet each for those additional 4 signs, which then should equal the 546. Okay. Commissioner Colby.
All right, thank you, and I appreciate Commissioner Tadona, you know, what you were saying, concern about the overall, but, you know, saying that we don't know about the micro hospital, the city, this entity, this commission talked about that exhaustively, so I just think those comments could, you know, make somebody watching this think, oh, well, that's just something that came in, it didn't go through a process. It went through a very, very deliberate process, and all of that information is available. So, I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but because you weren't sitting up here, or because maybe you didn't even live in Clermont, doesn't mean that you know, there's things that just kind of popped up and they weren't discussed. So
Well, part of my concern is, like, again, when you talk hospital, that's 24/7, 7 days a week. That is probably a building that's gonna have an emergency room or traffic in and out. So either way, you know, we're off the beaten path down a tiny road where everybody else is kind of either trying to access it or not. And that was really only my concern. I realize I wasn't here in 2005, but that's the first time I've ever heard the term micro hospital. When you put the word hospital in there, we're not talking about like a walk-in, walk-out medical facility. A hospital has a certain indication to it, doesn't it?
The connotation probably, I mean, to me, it seemed like more like a emergency.
Yeah,
like
yeah, from what I remember, and I think Mr. Colby was on planning and zoning at the time when it came through, maybe Mr. Nemec. We questioned as well, and what was, I can recall was clarified is it's like 8 or 10 rooms only, and it's for it's also almost like it's a concierge service in terms of medical treatment, is from what I can recall.
And it was like a freestanding ER, but it may or may not happen.
Right.
But there is a good deal of information
Right.
on that, and we discussed it at length.
Because
So
we even talked about, I knew the fire department was concerned about a helicopter landing there, you know, because there were some vacant parcels, and that it was made clear during that presentation that that would not be the case. Also, I think the relief of UF Health down the street does provide some relief in terms of some of those medical services as well. But again, staff, when we heard it, we were like, what is a micro hospital? And I understand the questioning behind
I have
it.
no doubt that everybody did their due diligence back then. My
I would
concern
just,
is,
I know you're
how-
concerned, but just the way you said that sounded like, you know, the city wasn't doing its
well,
due
sometimes you gotta
diligence.
do a little digging in some of this stuff, but, you know, it's just, my concern is the neighborhood, you know, it's just always the neighborhood. And I appreciate what the city attorney said, using that phrase, compatibility of development, you know, and it's just, it concerns me, that's all.
So on this project, you know, I'm satisfied with the responses about the outdoor display as well. The signage seems quite reasonable, and I do think that this is a good addition to the community. So I have no problems, and I support this.
Thank you. Commissioner Nemec.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Cadona.
Yes, sir.
I was actually sitting here on the left side of Mr. Corby when the project came up. And I could assure you, this council up here at that time asked every possible question, what your questions were. So, yes, we did do our job diligently on that. There was some in favor, there's some against it. But my question is, and the reason why Mr. Cadona, Commissioner Cadona asked that question was because when we get a packet, staff, sorry, John. When we get a packet, I'm looking at an aerial shot of vacant land. Vacant. I don't see the coffee shop there. I don't see all those buildings there. So you're, you know, not saying you, John, but we're looking at this saying, oh, there's no buildings there. That's what I'm looking at. Living in the area, I know there's buildings there. There's a lot of buildings there. Like if I asked you, and I'm not gonna waste your time, where's the coffee shop? When I asked you, where is the hospital? Where is the hotel? And now you got 2 more buildings that's being built over there, not including this building. So that is, I'm not saying it's trying to trick us. It's this picture right here serves me no justice at all. All right, as for my fellow commissioner asking about clutter, that's what I meant about clutter. We got so much in there, it's not even funny. It's not. That's why maybe they can't put it because they don't have a recent picture. A drone to go up there to show planning and zoning or the council. I mean, I'm not blaming Mr. Cruz for it. Mr. Cruz does the best he can. As for the tenants, can you explain that to me? Tenants in the building or tenants in like the hospital? I mean.
No, again, if we go back to the site plan, there's a,
Correct.
if they came in, if they built the Sprouts with a shell building and they met the resolution for uses, there's gonna be additional tenants in there.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
we don't know who they are as of today.
Okay, so that could go up to how many buildings? How many, you said 4 separate units?
No, there's one building
Right.
additional to Sprouts.
Right.
But again, they can make it 4 suites. We
Yeah,
don't
4
know.
suites, we don't know.
No,
Okay, but that's gonna be built the same time Sprouts is being built?
I can't answer that question, no,
Okay.
because
okay.
that wasn't part of the
Can-
application.
Any one of you answer that question to base my decision on, sir?
Yes, the building adjacent to Sprouts is being built concurrently with Sprouts.
Do you know what the plans are since you're building it?
It-
And how many suites? In other words, how many front door entrances you're gonna be having for?
There'll be 4 storefronts.
Okay, great, terrific, thank you. Thank you very much on that answer. Okay, buildings, the clutter, the tenants. Oh, I'm sorry, why don't you just stay up here for, I apologize, walking back and forth. At least we got new rugs for you to walk on. I noticed during certain holidays that, especially like, and I hate using this for example, like a Home Depot or Lowe's, they put tents in the parking lot. Now, I know you're saying you're having outdoor displays. Okay, you see where I'm going at? Christmas time, Christmas trees. Will you be doing something like that in your parking lot?
Not in the parking lot. All outdoor display is under the outdoor sales
And
area.
only under?
Only under the outdoor sales area.
Okay, and that's written in this proposal, staff? Or do I have to ask for that to be written in it?
In the proposal, again, it just says, outdoor displays shall be limited along the front of Sprouts building. So if you want it only under the canopy, then we need to add
I would ask for that. Only
add
for the
that.
simple fact what the rental depot is still doing down the block. And the reason why they get away with it, because nobody put it inside in writing.
And if the motion's made to include it
Okay,
that way, we'll put
okay.
it in there.
Sounds good, John, thank you. All right, I'm almost done, I'm sorry. All right, John, how many parking spots are there? Or did I see this? I've been trying to look for it, I can't find it on the conception.
Because they're gonna meet code.
Could
they'll
you
me-
tell me what the potential code is?
I don't know the square footage off the top of my head. They're not asking for a parking variance or special condition, so they'll meet code.
Because that parking lot looks big, that's the only reason I'm asking. And look, I know about Sprouts, everybody knows who Sprouts is. So I know you're gonna be very popular. And that's going to Commissioner Sedona's request about the traffic, but we can't base our decision on traffic. Okay, going to the signs. I feel like this is deja vu from a council meeting just recently. The back of the building, that sign there, is that gonna be lighted? Is it gonna be LEDs? Is it gonna be light on it?
It's gonna meet code.
That doesn't answer my question.
It will meet code.
Oh,
They did
Jesus.
not ask for any special consideration for the rear sign, so it was not analyzed. Therefore, it will meet code.
The reason why I'm asking that is for light pollution. The reason why I'm asking that is because there's condominiums behind the building. So if you can't tell me code, couldn't code be, all right, so you want to challenge me?
I'm
We'll
not
go-
challenging you,
we'll go
I'm
for
just
this, okay?
informing you that
I
it
just
will
want to
meet
know if
code.
that's going to be lighted.
It will meet code.
Can you explain to me if lighted is in the code?
Yes, it is under a photometric plan.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman. I'm ready to vote.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. I too was going to ask the applicant, I heard you mention about the canopy and outdoor display, and so I was going to ask if we could, if it would be a friendly amendment on your part to limit it to only under the canopy, because it sounded like that's where it would be, but it wasn't currently in the resolution as such.
Yes, that's,
Okay.
no exceptions taken there.
And is this footprint, if you will, or overall concept design, is this fairly standard for what Sprouts builds these
Yes.
days in communities?
Yes, this is prototypical for Sprouts.
Okay, thank you. That's all that I have for you. Thank you, I appreciate it. And I think that, I think there are some good questions here. And I think that how do we as commissioners get information? We ask staff. But staff can't anticipate every question that we're going to ask at this meeting. So if there are questions that aren't in this material that you would like to have answered, you can meet with staff prior to, or you can email them and call them and then ask them, hey, I'm going to ask this question because I think it's important for the public to hear me ask this question. Can you prepare this answer for that? Just so that we can help facilitate that conversation. And I think that was referenced in our last meeting as well, is none of the conversational things prohibit us from talking with staff and communicating with staff and asking these questions. Because I think it is a valid question about, is this a lighted sign or not, just out of curiosity so that folks know. But certainly for staff perspective, if we can help them understand some of the questions that we may ask that isn't in material that they presented, I don't think that it's fair on their part for us to expect them to anticipate every single question that we might ask on that. So I would just remind commissioners that we can do that and we can bring that forward, and it can be done here at the meeting. Just let them know, hey, Mr. Cruz, we want to ask this question. Please come prepared with this answer on this, because this is the question I'm going to ask you, so that the public can know. With relation to the project itself and adding these things, I don't think that these changes to the conditional use permit detract or deter from the project. If they were if they were, I would not support it. And I think that having a grocery store facility or a food facility in proximity to so much housing, in particular rental housing, where folks may not have access to a car all the time, and may rely on public transportation, for them to have this nearby for them to be able to utilize could be a positive thing. And for folks who, don't want to get in the car and create more traffic, they can now walk to a closer grocery store and shop for that. So that could help in some of those things as well. So I appreciate the work that's been done. And again, I don't see these three items. If we add the canopy piece for the displays, that would satisfy my concern about that, not creeping out to, as others have mentioned, to the parking lot. Any other final comments or questions by commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Ray?
Yep, just one question in regards to the lighting that you had. Is that also going to be on the monument signs? Because I do believe there was an ordinance that passed in
Yes,
regards to.
the monument signs will be backlit more than likely, but again, our code says that they can't exceed or go over 1 foot candle at the property line. So part of the site review is, that's part of they have to give us a photometric plan.
But
So-
it won't be one of those digital, because it is allowed, I think, now. The city of Clermont does allow digital now.
In terms of that, I can't answer other than what was submitted. So, and again, if we go back to the original resolution back in 2005 and look how it's developing, it's totally different. I mean, things change. So that's some of the things we run across of these older PUDs. They have a thought process, they have a plan. Next thing you know, the economy tanks, COVID hits, this, that, or other thing, and it changes direction while we go through it. So they have the right to come back and ask for some of these amendments. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them. And this is kind of the process we deal with it.
And then in regards to the 4 storefronts that are coming, do we know what type? Is that going to be, do we have an idea? And when he talked about parking, does that parking requirement also include those tenants? I mean, those requirements are up to code, right?
We don't have any signed leases for those storefronts in the adjacent shops yet, but yes, the blended parking ratio is compliant.
And what's the square footage of that particular little building?
7,200 square feet,
7,200? And your Sprouts is?
23,273.
23,273. So, thank you very much for that. So, in regards to going back to Commissioner Nemec, about what's coming, I guess, I think the allowed, well, both of you all talking about all the different mixes of the center. It appears it's 450, what is it, allowed 459,000 square feet. So we still have more coming. Is the site already up to the 459,000 square feet?
No, again, that goes back to the apartments at Hammock Ridge across the way was included in that.
Oh, it was.
But when we look at apartments, we don't look at floor area or the square footage of the apartments. It's done on units. That was one of the amendments they did to add the apartments behind it. They're not going to get close to 400 and change, whatever's in the resolution, based on what's there. Because
yeah.
lots, they're between this lot, you have the hotel going up, you have the daycare, you have smaller lots that are available, and they're not going to get close to that number.
It would be great to get a copy of, like what the commissioner was saying, an actual of what is there now, so that we can kind of.
Yeah, we're limited for the aerial photography. We use Lake County GIS, and that's the most available data that we have. If we had that capability to give you real time, we would. But this is some of the things we struggle with as well.
Yep.
And usually there's a 2 or 3 year lag on the photography.
But I think in the future, I think what he's trying to say is that it's great to have as much information in front of us so that we can kind of do our analysis or due diligence for. So it would be great to find out what is left on square footage, how much more parking is required under, just the more the better. The more the better for us. So that's all.
And again, when this came in, we only looked at the amendments. If we had to go through every condition in here and consider it, that is something that, again, we only focused on the amendments that came in, and that's what staff focused their review and time on. We could play a lot of what-if games, and it would just drive staff crazy. Like, what if they do this? What if they put a movie theater in there? What if they do that? You know, we have to go what was presented to us. Again, you brought up a good question, how many tenants? Well, we figured there was gonna be 4 tenants in that building just based on the 4 spouts, you know. So we do some detective work that way, but without it being conveyed in a solid format, you know, we don't know. But then we'll start asking questions that are outside the realm of what they are requesting for an amendment. Now, brand new, we can ask them anything we want, so.
Yep, okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
All right, seeing no other comments or questions, is there a motion for resolution number 2025-010R, Sprouts Farmer Market CUP?
Yes, I'd like to set a motion for approval with the language inside stating that they're only allowed to have the display underneath their awning.
Okay, so I came up with sample language, if you want to look at it and see if that fits or not. It says, the Sprouts building
Yes, sir, that's perfect.
under the canopy area.
That's perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just writing this down, only under the canopy area. Okay, there is a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-010R with the amendment to add only under the canopy area to outdoor display number 1. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, Commissioner Tadona and Commissioner Nemec, nay. Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries 5-2. And this will then be forwarded to the City Council, and with this recommendation, including the recommendation to amend that item, so council can decide whether or not they want to take our addition or not with that, and then they will vote and have the final say in that. So good luck. Any other discussion for the good of the cause? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Kramer and seconded by Nemec. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.